Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pass+Move podcast. It's episode 5 or 6. So I'm not really sure. No one really knows. Don't know how we've made it this far. We've got the usual culprits with us: Josh, Dunk, Tone, me, but no Tom, because Tom thinks that building a wall is more important than this podcast, which really says it all, to be honest. There's Josh doing his impression. We've also got a guest with us today, Chris Fountain. If you don't know who Chris Fountain is, I'll let you introduce yourself, Chris. Let us know who you are, what you do.
Okay, I'm Chris and I'm from Hastings Wanderers Football Club, club owner. Have been going this is our 7th year, and obviously we've had some great times along with the Pass+Move guys. So I thought, hey, what the hell, let's come on and have a chat with you guys.
Chris, your little intro there, mate, it sounded like blind date. You know when Silla introduced, Hi, I'm Chris, I'm from Hastings.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll get a date out of this, but hey.
Josh is always game, mate.
2 meters apart though, mate.
Yeah.
Chris, out of interest, mate, do you want to tell us, how did you get into coaching?
How did I get into coaching? For me, was probably like most of you guys with the kids. I took my kids to dribblers, and I sat there for probably about a year watching my kids play football and loving it. And then one day they were short on a coach. They said, look, do you fancy having a tryout and see if you like it? I tried it, loved it, and within 3 weeks I was on an FA course and never looked back. Absolutely, it was so rewarding. Obviously working full time, but actually being out there with the kids was just fantastic, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
That's spot on.
How did Wanderers actually come around, mate? Because I know it's connected to Little Dribblers, but for people out there who don't know, where did Wanderers where did it grow from?
So again, Little Dribblers, worked with them for a while, and then we started seeing the kids get into 6 and then disappearing. And so me and Ryan sort of sat down and chatted and said, look, the only way we could try and progress this on would be to start up a football club. So Ryan Light, obviously, those of you know, we had a long chat and discussion along with Martin. I think Martin's been part of your setup for a while as well, Dobbo. And so we decided to form a first team, which obviously involved my son, because at that point I wasn't sure what he wanted to do. So we started the club. Hastings Wanderers was born 2013. And it went on from there. The first season was a struggle because Ryan, he hate me for this, Ryan decided to put us into the older age group because he didn't get the ages right. So our first tournament, we were playing, our very first time ever playing anything competitive at all. Under 8's age, we were playing against under 9s who had been going for a year before us, so it was quite hard. And then after about 8 months, Ryan stepped back to continue with his business. Obviously, because Little Dribblers is a income for him, and I took over the helm, as we say, from Wanderers, and the rest is history.
Are you guys still connected, Chris? Little Dribblers and Hastings Wanderers, or is it completely separate now?
It's separate in the sense of Ryan has nothing to do with the club in running it or anything like that at all, and that was from when he handed it over. But we still get he recommend people to us. Yeah. A little bit like you. Obviously, you've got your setup where they can come on a Saturday and so forth. Same with Little Dribblers, and once they get to that age where they can't go anywhere, Ryan always passes our details over. That's about as far as the connection goes. We have sponsors from him, and that's about it really. But yeah, we still keep in contact with him.
It's quite handy though, isn't it? Getting that sort of pathway through of kids from a young age when they've been with places like us on a Saturday morning or from Little Dribblers, getting kids that want to play in a team, sort of 6 years of age. It does help bring new kids through. Absolutely, and you need it. Like the feeder clubs, and I think in the news at the moment, obviously Hastings United, they're starting their youth side, and because they want a feeder for their adult side, and that's obviously my goal, and I'm assuming it'll be your goal as well. So when they get to 16, 17, 18, where they're going to go from here. Yeah. So the next steps will be to look at adult football as well. So, is that a plan for you guys to have an adult team?
That's the next goal. We want somewhere.
Hastings have done now? Because I don't pay much attention to the news now. They set up a youth feeder properly now.
They've opened up from 7s upwards now, haven't they, Chris? I think.
I saw an advertisement that said that they're now offering twice a week training for under 7s up. Whereas before, I think they were only under 15s, under 14s, but they want to obviously look at their younger side because they're trying to develop that new site and so forth. So obviously it's going to put a bit of pressure on us guys because they're offering.
Against them when we played the Hastingses and stuff like that.
It's
changed
because
the academy, haven't they?
Yeah, well, it's because Hastings United youth setup is completely separate to the Hastings United Football Club. There was a big thing on Twitter that Billy Wood put out saying we wanted them to join us, and it's really odd how they use our colours, our badge, and all that sort of stuff. Yet they're not actually part of the club. I don't know whether they've joined and that's how they're doing this whole youth setup, or whether, like Chris says, that they completely started from scratch.
No, they haven't joined with Hastings United Youth. Chris Aird has kept it to himself. He wants to stay separate. He said he's nothing to do with Hastings United Academy. I think that's why they've changed their badge.
So there's going to be a whole Hastings United and Hastings United.
Yeah, so you've got Hastings United Youth, which is nothing to do with the adult affiliation, and then you've now got Hastings United, which has got the new badge, the lion, and that's they're trying to start their own youth setup. So there'll be Hastings United Youth, and then there'll be Hastings United Youth.
I mean,
so expect phone calls to varying teams and varying managers, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know that's happening already for a fact. So.
I think you will always find that certain players will be attracted to different opportunities. But I think over the years, Tony, we've seen it so many different times with team situations with different clubs. All you can do is do what you do, keep believing in the way you do things, and parents will either want to stay with you or will look elsewhere and think, maybe I'll go over to Hastings United because it might feed me into the Hastings United first team. I mean, as we've said before, and I stand by it when we were speaking about pro clubs and things like that, be them under 7s, under 6s, under 10s, under 14s, we stand by. We believe that when they're ready, the clubs will find them. Otherwise,
absolutely.
Parents, let your kid just enjoy your football, wherever that may be. Be that at Hastings Wanderers, be that at Pass+Move, Hastings United, wherever it might be. For me, the more football setups out producing good football, grassroots level, it's going to create more competition, more options for kids, etc., etc. Because how many times we've had age groups where, to be fair as well, we've got too many lads for one group, and you have to wait for a new side and a new manager. If there's more options out there, it'll ease that pressure as well. So,
long as I think Chris, Hastings Wanderers a similar ethos to us. As long as they leave happy and they're enjoying themselves, that's your job done, really.
Yeah,
give them if they buy into the love for football and they're enjoying it, brilliant. They'll develop if they're enjoying it. If they're not enjoying it, then it's harder. So,
I mean, I expect to see an impact on, say, our next year's 7s, in that there might be a few lads that might have come to Pass+Move or might have come to Wanderers that will actually say, I'm going to give Hastings United a go. The new Hastings United is going to confuse me. But, so be it. Then you end up with the lads at Wanderers and the lads at Pass+Move who believe in the way Wanderers or Pass+Move do things. So I think in a way, it'll just filter things through a little bit.
There's always been sorry, Chris, go on, mate.
I was just saying, I mean, obviously, when we saw the news, we had a little chat amongst our managers, like how it's going to affect us. And like you said, it's a worry because obviously you think you're going to lose some players because of the thrill or the chance to go and play for Hastings United will come up, which is fine. And like I say, sometimes it'll be heartbreaking to lose players, and it always is to any club. But obviously, if they're going to progress and they're going to enjoy their football, then so be it. Is what it is. But obviously, like you said, we are hopefully, and like yourselves, are established enough to be able to deal with that, and we will have enough people that are loyal and stay and believe in the ethos that we've got and what you've got, so that the football will continue within our clubs. Because the last thing we want as well is clubs folding. So there's going to be smaller clubs out there. Not saying they're smaller. I mean, like as in they've only got a few age groups. If they lose their players, they're going to go, and then what's going to happen? There's just going to be Pass+Move, Hastings Wanderers, and Hastings United, and some other small clubs. There's the less clubs, less teams to play against. So then we have to go further afield.
That is a really good point, actually, Chris, because I've had different age groups this year where we've had games cancelled because parents or teams haven't had the amount of players to play, and for one reason or another. So if they're thinning out those sides, I mean, I can remember going back when we started, Tone, there was one side who literally, another club, and I can't remember what club it was, they took the entire side across to them, didn't they? And then that side then folded. So as long as that kind of thing doesn't happen, that would upset me if, say, whole units started picking themselves up and going off to play under the Hastings United banner.
I think that will happen in bits, though. There'll be, if you look, if they're starting up an academy set up from under 7s up to 13s, I think is a new side, not going to get an under 13 new team straight away. It just, I can't see that happening. So there will be teams that, because they'll take a manager will go, and I know for a fact that they're speaking to different people. If a manager goes, the likelihood is the players will follow the manager. That's in reality what would happen. So,
are they speaking to, or do you not want to say online, Tone?
I'll talk to you later, don't.
I'm interested now.
Any of mine?
No, mate. No, not that I've heard, mate. So,
Tone,
Tone,
you leaving?
sorry.
You
Message
leaving, Tone?
I've got two of you asked me, what, Josh, what do you say?
I said, are you leaving?
We'll talk later. I just need to. No.
Yes.
I've got a transfer for you going on, Josh. We're fine.
Oh, dear.
Well, you're fitting with
Chris.
the Wanderers, mate, because you've got a bald head. All of us coaches are bald.
Chris, quick question.
Yeah.
Do you follow Crouchy's podcast?
No.
Oh, here we go again.
Did you watch
mate.
last week's episode when we did Parched?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, so quick question.
Mm-hmm.
How parched is Tom Saunders?
Busy.
How busy and how irritated. We love him. We love him.
Right, I'm chucking Dobbo in that bracket from Wanderers.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dobbo as well.
busy.
I was thinking of asking who the most parched was at Wanderers.
That's a tough one between them two.
Dobbo.
I think Dobbo could actually edge it, to be fair. Bless him.
Hey, Chris, while we're on the subject, out of interest, we covered it off in a podcast a while ago, but big frustrations for you at Hastings Wanderers, probably very similar to us, but it's just interesting to hear the things that really frustrate you. I mean, what we've just touched on with Hastings United is probably a good point, but things that you struggle with at youth football.
Yeah, like you say, other clubs coming in, taking players and players leaving because they've been told that they're going to get better opportunities at that club. I find that quite an insult because, like you said, if a big club's going to come in for them, they're going to come in whether they're playing for us, you, Hastings Athletic, whatever. If they're good enough, they're good enough. That's a real big frustration for me, and it's hard not to take it personally when a player leaves. I've had a couple of players that have been with me for sort of 6 years, and then they've gone on to, as in their words, bigger and better things. And you think to yourself, bigger and better things is a bit of an insult unless you're going on to a big club. So I find that quite frustrating, to be honest with you. But yeah, other than that, it's just the general youth football in itself can be frustrating at times. It can be a very lonely place at times, but we keep doing it. Don't know why.
You and I have had chats, Chris, on a Saturday morning when I've been coaching on our football for all session. You've gone down the bottom to play a game and come back up.
Yeah,
We often have a little bit of a moan up about what we've been fined for allegedly not doing.
I was trying to be a bit PC there, but
let's not name names, but we both have a similar opinion. I think in some of the things for like under 7, 8, 9, 10 football where you got to report bits and pieces and you don't, or I find that hard work.
Yeah, and then I mean, we had loads of fines this year. We had loads of fines this year where the actual system wasn't working, and we've had proof that we've done it, and we've still had to pay the fines. And you think,
Don't start on that. Don't start.
We've been in exactly the same boat, mate. We're getting on, going to managers, going, "Why ain't you done this?" And our game was called off.
Yeah,
there's the email showing it's off, and you're like,
I'm convinced that Dunk's messed it up.
that is a fair point, mate. To be honest,
I'm not even going to deny that. Chris, across all the youth levels, the big push over the last few years has been like the respect policy, behaviour of players, behaviour of managers, behaviour of fans. Do you think there's been a marked improvement, or do you look around and see the same old things?
That's a difficult one. You see, I think there's been a vast improvement in certain clubs. Yeah, but I'm not going to name the clubs. But then the same ones every week. You sort of go, "Oh God, we really got to play them again?" And then you see certain faces that you know. It's a difficult good question, but there has been a vast improvement, and even with ourselves. I mean, like we've been blessed. I think, like same with you guys, you've got some really good parents there. You get the odd one that comes through that want to kick every ball on the pitch and scream their mouths off. But once you spoke to them, they've been pretty good. And same with our parents. We've got quite a vocal lot, and then we've got some really, really good parents. But overall, I think it has been good. But there's still certain teams out there that I dread playing because it stems from their managers and it stems from their coaches. Their players then think it's the right thing to do, and it's difficult.
It follows through, doesn't it? I look at it thinking that we went to Yarmouth, didn't we, for a tournament, and we witnessed something. two teams fighting, parents fighting, and I'm literally absolutely gobsmacked by it.
And they were quality teams as well, though, weren't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, no need for it either. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's but then you look at it here, you just get the odd one or two. I think if you have a decent dialogue with your club, the players, the parents, the coaches, then it's a little bit better. I think the issue you get is when nothing's said, and as clubs you try and ignore things, then nothing gets addressed. It's allowed to fester and build, and once it's built up, it's quite hard to deal with. So
Yeah.
I look at Wanderers setup. I think similar to us, you've got a good group of parents, and it's long may that continue really.
I don't know what you think. I think it's polarised it. I think it's increased the gap. It's the good clubs have taken on board the respects, have followed the courses, have taken the info and understood what the right way things to do is, and they have improved, right? And I'd put us in that bracket as well because we're still learning. But I think those other groups who turn their nose up at it, in a way, some of the behaviour I've seen at certain games, without naming names again, has got worse.
Yeah.
And in a funny way, I think it's kind of stretched the gap between how things should be done and then those exceptions maybe who are seeming to get worse and go the other way as opposed to trying to improve. Because some of the things I've seen at younger level of late have left me gobsmacked. Literally, I've spoken to the guys afterward, but there's not a lot you can do about it. And a lot of the time, I know it's bad. You think I should really go through the process here. This should be reported, etc., etc. But then you just, with everything else you've got going on, the impact it's going to have, the comeback you're going to have, sometimes you think, you know what, just worry about the 3 feet in front of your face, which is probably the wrong attitude completely.
See, you say that now. Obviously, I'm not privy to what's happened behind the scenes at you, but we've reported a couple of times certain teams, certain behaviour, younger age levels, and I'd be honest, I don't feel that we get the support from the FA.
No, exactly.
I feel that it's a wasted process because you don't hear back from them, then you chase them, and teams are getting away with it.
Or the flip side of that is you actually make the report, like Chris has mentioned. They then contact the other club for an opinion.
Absolutely,
Nothing happens, but the next time you play and there's animosity because you spoke to the FA, it just makes it worse. It
makes it worse.
Yeah. We had one where we reported it, and we actually had video footage. One of the parents had the frame of mind to actually stand back and start filming the abuse that the referee was getting, and overstepping a respect barrier, and they were actually on the pitch. And we sent that footage to the FA to support our claims, just to say, look, this isn't on. And it came back that we were going to get fined for not controlling the crowd.
Really?
So we had to fight that, and we were going to get our first ever strike. I don't know if you know obviously the FA, you get the strikes, and then you can get kicked out from the leagues. And we were going to get our first ever strike if it wasn't for the fact that we had this video footage that we could actually prove that it wasn't our parents. And I had to rally around, and we're talking 4 or 5 hours worth of rallying around, getting statements. Lucky enough, we had a dog walker that someone knew that wasn't anything affiliated with the club. Otherwise, we would have been in trouble with the FA. We'd have had a massive fine, all for us reporting. We didn't get reported. It was because we reported and the FA didn't like what they saw. So that for us left a real sour taste.
It does make you think it's not worth the hassle of
absolutely
going through the correct motions.
I think it's important for the parents to realise as well that it's not as straightforward for us as report it, it'll get dealt with, they'll get slapped on the wrist or they'll get suspended or fined, and it's dealt with. It's not. It's pain for us to do. It can have ramifications negatively against us and the club. It's not as straightforward and clean cut as some parents might think it is. I mean, but other times, I'll be honest, just before the COVID outbreak, there was an incident with Cookies lot that was reported. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't get to put the report in. And I was honest to Katie and Lexi and said, look, I haven't done it yet. Then everything happened. But part of me, when I was doing that, when I got the report and I looked at it, and it was bad, when I read what happened, part of me was thinking, however much I love this group of players and these parents, I'm going to go through this process. And I honestly think it's just going to either make matters worse or nothing's going to happen. And that's really bad. I should never be in a mindset that that's what I'm thinking. But that's the system.
Then the FA should be able to prevent that.
The difficulty thing
we
you
should
have,
feel protected by the FA.
No, the difficult thing you've got is now we've been there for the adult side of things where we've had games banned and all this nonsense. You have to then go to an appeal. It 99.9% of the time it'll be equal blame.
Yeah.
So they're both there going, what's the point? And like Chris mentioned earlier, you got video. We never had video evidence. When you got video evidence, you still have all that grief, and you still have to go through so much extra work. The additional hours on top of running the club, sorting everything else out, which takes a lot of time. But then you then chuck in giving another evening up, all the legwork to get ready for it. It's just more problems than you need, really.
It's a horrible thing to have, though, because obviously we're there to protect the kids and have a safe environment for them to play. And when you're questioning it yourselves, thinking, shall we report it? It's not great. I mean, obviously we had pull the kids to one side, talk to them about what's happened if we ever have an incident like that, and sort of say, this is why you play for us. This is why we don't have that in us. So it is a teaching a lesson time for them, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
So you'd kind of teach them a lesson, but then there's no repercussions for those other people. They're not seeing the repercussions. This season, we've had a couple of incidents. We've had teams getting red cards on us for abuse. We've had one of my 14-year-old players came off in absolute tears, and they're not that type of player. They're sort of a bit tough but come off in tears because of the parents. And for me, that broke my heart. And you said, what do you do at that point? What can you do? Parents, yeah, exactly, yeah. But you obviously have to put your sensible head on, talk to them, and try and explain to them what's right and wrong about it, and try and get them to go back into the game and play. But eventually, they didn't actually want to go back on. So for me, they've won.
But that's also the point when you're at the risk of losing kids from the game.
Absolutely,
they end up falling out of love with it, and that's like you said, Chris. That's heartbreaking when that sort of thing starts to happen.
Absolutely, and you feel helpless because you do think, like say that, like you say. There's one thing you want to go and do, but you can't, and you have to restrain yourself. In one of the games in question, I went and talked to them, and all I got was abuse back, so I walk away. And I'm not saying we're as white as white. We've had run-ins with you guys, and we've dealt with it.
Yeah, I think was it our 14s this year?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you and I had a conversation midweek, and it's fine. But
and the thing is, we expect that when you get to sort of the competitive age groups, 12 up. There is that passion, like the kids have been winding each other up at school.
Yeah,
we don't see all of that, so then there is a bit of animosity there. And that game in particular, there was a few bad decisions by the referee. There was a few bad things from your side, a few bad things from our side, and it all got out of hand. And I think nipping it in the bud straight away, like we did, within 10 minutes, we cleared everything all up and we restarted the game, and we had probably the best game that has been played this season. And I know it's a bad season, but it happened. Yeah. But the way we dealt with it was brilliant. And the same for your guys. The way it was dealt with was how it should be, because parents got involved, they shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
And they were reprimanded our side, and I'm sure they were your side. But we sorted it out amongst ourselves, and all the players left that pitch at the end of the game shaking hands like it never happened. And that's the main thing. Whereas some of these games I've seen this, and it gets swept under by the other opponents. And then the game carries on, and then there's more animosity. And then when you leave, players not wanting to shake hands, and then
when you play each other again, it kicks off straight off.
Absolutely.
I've had an incident of that. We played a side who we've also had a bit of trouble with in the men's side, but in my age group, which was under 10s, we played them away first game of the season, and I can't lie, the reffing was absolutely shocking. So biased towards them. It was their own ref, and obviously from our side, we're standing there like, I had a word with the ref, but my parents, you can sort of feel them like grumbling behind you, and you have to turn around and be like, right, stay calm, don't say anything, because if you do, it's just going to kick off, get out of hand. So I said a word at the end of it, and I said, look, I'm not being funny. I thought the referee was this, that, the other. They come to our place. One of our players' parents refs the game at our place, and after about 5-10 minutes, the coach is standing on the pitch offering to have the referee out and have a fight in the middle of the pitch, and you just sit there like, what is going on? You don't know what to say to the kids at that point, because you're just like trying to pull them away from the situation. But luckily, they've been kicked out of the league in our league, and they're no longer a team because they had that many complaints. But yeah, it's hard when things like that happen, and it's how you deal with it in there and then, and how it affects the kids.
I also think we had one this year with the under-8s. And I won't talk in too much detail about it, but I do generally think sometimes you need to remember that the opposition sometimes are no different from us. And sometimes circumstances will just get the better of what might be a really good coach. You don't know what's going on outside of away from football. I mean, you don't know. But the behaviour, one of the incidents, and I had to send all the kids away because of what he was saying to his team in the team talk. And afterwards, he was incredibly nice, incredibly apologetic. And at the time, me, John, Joe and Grant were standing there, like, struggling to control ourselves, to control the situation correctly. It was fine in the end, and afterwards he came over and had a chat, was incredibly apologetic about it. And you just got to remember sometimes that, I think as well, it's easy to look at other coaches who have behaved badly at the time because they don't handle themselves maybe correctly afterwards, and forget that they might have just let it get the better of them this week. You don't know what they've had going on during the day away from football. So I think sometimes it's worth remembering that it's maybe not all bad with some coaches who do behave badly. It might just they're having a bad day at the office. I don't know. But,
No, absolutely.
Josh,
I totally agree with that.
did you want to start a few questions to get things rolling?
Right.
Can we not have the one from the beginning that you did?
Oh.
Because we're supposed to be eventually talking about the state of football, what it's going to be like in the next couple of months. But
Yeah, you wanted to stick some sort of would you rather questions in, didn't you?
Yeah,
we're 35 minutes in and we haven't even started yet.
Right, so first category is something you want to erase from history. Okay. This one's for everyone. So, hand of God or Lampard's goal against Germany.
Oh, what it should have been given if it was given. I might hand of God all day long. Hand of God.
Lampard one, was that what round was that? Was that a quarter against Germany?
Quarters in 2006.
Were we 2 down or 3 down at the time?
We
that would have made it 2-1, wouldn't it?
No, it wouldn't. It would have made it 2-2. Because we would have been back in the game, and then they literally went and scored straight after.
We definitely won it.
No, 86 World Cup for me was amazing. So, hand of God, take that out all day long.
Chris?
Well, I'm not as old as you, so
yeah, I've got no idea on hand of God, to be honest.
No, but I mean, obviously that would have been a huge game changer for everything. But then what would we talk about if that didn't happen? The hand of God. So I'd have to go with the Lampard because at that time in my life I was England mad. I would be at the pubs. I would be dressed up. I've been in the Observer so many times with the old face paint and blah blah blah. And I remember that day. I was working at a club. We had it on. It was fantastic. What an atmosphere. And then when that goal didn't go in, just heartbreaking. So I would have to change that. The VAR would have picked up that goal. Love VAR.
Didn't goal line tick come in straight after that World Cup?
Straight after.
Yeah. It wasn't even close. It was so far behind.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember the Mendes goal for Tottenham away at Man United?
Was it the keeper pulled it out of the net? Yeah.
That was similar to that. Shocking.
I got on that theme, Josh, because it's very Waddle's penalties in the semi, or that big chin not passing to Sterling.
Mate, really?
Cheers, Dunk.
And he was offside. He was offside anyway.
You complete.
Every week is you more editing done. Every week.
Right. Firstly.
Go on. Which one do you write?
Right. Firstly, he was offside anyway, so it makes no difference. Secondly, Italia 90 would have won that. So definitely erasing Pearson Waddle's penalty is the answer.
If we'd beaten Croatia, you don't really think we would have gone on to win that one?
Mate, he was offside. He was offside, so it wouldn't have counted. It don't matter.
Was he offside? Bradley, was he offside?
He was offside.
All I'm saying is that World Cup run was literally like the greatest. I love that so much.
We were so happy that summer, and the train back from Brighton to Hastings, me and Brad didn't speak a single word to each other.
Seriously, and there's a guy sitting opposite us going, "It's all right, lads. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as this time." And we're sitting there basically crying.
Can you stop? I'm about to cry again.
Go on, Chris. Sorry about that.
Well, for me, obviously, in the 90s is the thing, and I don't know if you can see, I've got the old Gaza signed shirt up here.
Good from
you. I mean, obviously, being a Liverpool man, but Paul Gascoigne was England's one of the best players to ever play, as far as I'm concerned. And that Italy 90 broke my heart even more than the Lampard goal. I remember, I would have been 10, showing my age now, and I went for about a month wearing the same Paul Gascoigne T-shirt with his pulled up crying. I had a T-shirt with it printed on, which is that picture. And I probably for about a week afterwards, my mum and dad were trying to get me to take it top off and change because I wouldn't. It just broke my heart. So,
Chris, I've got another one just for you. This is just popped into my head. It's not written down on the list. If you erase from history, all right,
Gerard Slip's
Gerrard
coming out
slipping
right
over
now.
in Chelsea, or John Barnes taking the ball to the corner.
It's got to be Gerard Slip.
Really?
Yeah, it's got to be for
Over
me.
Mickey Thomas and the mighty Arsenal.
I know, but yeah, for me at that point, Gerrard deserved to win the league. For me, as a Liverpool fan,
Overrated.
yeah, and also it just means that we wouldn't be getting the abuse we get from Chelsea fans. So, but yeah, no, I think Gerard Slip for sure.
I'm surprised by that. I've got another one off the back of that though. I know the answer for Chris. If you could erase from history, Gerrard or Lampard?
Skulls.
Gosh.
Great answer.
You can erase from history, Gerrard or Lampard. I know Chris is going Lampard, Tone.
I'm a Tottenham fan. Neither of them bother me. Honestly, though, at the time, they were always scoring against us, always turning us over. Probably Lampard, because Chelsea just get my goat a lot more than Liverpool do.
I think Gerrard was the better player, so I'll get rid of Lampard. That's me. Braddis?
I'll get rid of Lance. Love a bit of Stevie G.
Joshua?
Skulls.
Josh, ask another question, you numpty.
I've got loads. Right.
Go on, go then.
We've got some that are sort of specific. So this one's more towards me and you, Dunk.
Go on.
Would you rather erase Henry to Barca or Fabregas to Barca?
Henry to Barca. No, sorry, yeah.
I'm Fabregas. I'll keep Fabregas.
I'd never want that Henry move. Henry leaving broke my heart, especially when he did it. The Champions League defeat to Barca when the guy runs on the pitch and gives him the shirt. Everything about Henry leaving. I know Wenger always says that his next growth for the club was building a side around Fabregas, but Henry leaving destroyed the club in different ways and it broke my heart. And it also said we weren't big enough.
You look at Henry, he is a club legend. Fabregas is debatable, but if he'd stayed...
He would have been if he'd stayed. Right. Go on, next one, Josh.
Right. Tyrone, this is more towards you.
If you're going to bring up Sol Campbell to Arsenal, I'm going to hang up and go now. So predictable. So predictable.
No, it's not. I haven't actually got that one down. It is Modric or Bale to Real Madrid.
Ooh.
Mate, I love Modric. I think he's brilliant. But right, Modric for me was class. But at the time when Gareth Bale left, he was literally dragging Tottenham through.
Yeah.
Without him, we were. So I would have kept Bale.
If Bale hadn't left and given you that money, would you be in the position you are today?
You did see who we signed, didn't you?
Yeah.
The only ones out of that, I think we had one sign that came decent out of that, and that was Ericsson.
Was Modric good at Spurs then?
Yeah. Mate, class.
Right.
Class wherever he's been. I'd take him back now. He's that good.
This one's for Chris.
Oh.
Coutinho or Suarez to Barca?
I would keep Coutinho because Suarez.
Yeah, that's interesting. This one, go on.
Yeah, I mean Suarez, obviously, outstanding player, but he just not all there, is he? And he caused too much problem. If he kept his teeth on, then
he did. It was just on Chiellini's shoulder.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but if he played the game and just ignored everything on the circus around him and not cause a controversy, then he'd been outstanding for us anyway. But he would have been even better. He'd have been a world beater. But yeah, Coutinho for me, I think one of the biggest disappointments was when he left, and for himself as he's finding out now. I think.
But then you could argue, would Liverpool be what they are now if you didn't have his money? That money for him.
It's funny you say that.
Fair, the rebuild for Liverpool's been amazing.
Yeah, the funny you say that. There's I literally was reading before I come on whilst I was waiting because I think you were late because of Duncan again.
Yeah.
See, I watched the podcast. I was reading an article and it says, would Liverpool be where they are if they kept Coutinho? And the answer would have been no, because they would have built around Coutinho. So would they have bought Van Dijk? Would they, have gone out and got these special players that they did? But yes, it's a hard one. But if I was to choose between them two, I would have said get rid of Suarez, keep Coutinho.
But you could have kept John Flanagan.
Flano, he's all right. He is. I'm
right. Brad, this one's for you.
Before you even go there, I'm telling you now, it's Glenn Murray to Palace.
I didn't put that one in because it was too easy. Kazenga Luala to Sunderland or Craig McHale-Smith to Luton?
They're at the end of their time, man.
Right, it's not my fault you support Brighton.
Glenn Murray to Palace. That's my answer.
No, I didn't put that in because it was too easy.
Yeah, but I'm telling you now because that's the one. Because if your best player who's been slamming in goals for 3 years goes to your rival.
Answer the question.
What about Knockout?
Knockout to Fulham breaks my heart. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ. When that goes through in the summer, his transfer clause, like they accept it. Oh, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry.
Right. Next one is for everyone. Chelsea's takeover or Man City's takeover?
What's the worst?
Which one would you get rid of?
I would rather get rid of the Chelsea one.
Yeah.
I know both clubs were irrelevant beforehand, to be fair, but there's too many Chelsea fans down this way.
Yeah. It's not just that. Chelsea kicked it off. That Chelsea thing kicked the whole money thing off, basically.
Yeah.
And
So,
allegedly, he was Abramovich was buying Tottenham. Allegedly.
Yeah.
So what could have been?
Right, I've got a couple. Right, before we change it and we go serious for a second, right? If you had to play 90 minutes against, right? So you're glued to this person for 90 minutes. Who would you rather play against? First up, Keane or Vieira?
Oh, you're going to come black and blue with either.
I think Keane, because you could use the fact that he's aggression, you could probably end up getting him sent off and then you have a free game. But Vieira was a bit more clever.
No, he always had a red mist, didn't he? Vieira got himself into problems. Oh, that's a tough one.
I think I'd rather play against Vieira as opposed. I think Keane would just be evil to play against.
Yeah, but Vieira's a machine though, absolute machine.
He's
in his
a machine,
day.
but I think the psychological abuse and the physical abuse you get on board Keane would be worse than Vieira.
Yeah.
I would say I'd rather play against Vieira because Keane would hold a grudge as well, as Alfie Haaland could back up. And that would follow you for life, and I don't need that in my life. I don't need a mad Irishman following me for life. That would scare me.
Brad, if you played against Keane, he would absolutely abuse you. You wear the little gloves, your undershirts.
Yeah, what a target.
What was it? I can't remember what the player was who said it, but I can't remember they asked. It was Chris Sutton, and he said, "Who do you hate playing against the most in the league?" And he, without flinching, said Tony Adams. And he said, "I used to come off black and blue because apparently Adams used to pinch him all the way through the game. So he'd come off with these little pinch marks all over his body." He said it was just absolutely, it was a nightmare. It was agony. You tried everything you could to get away from the guy. So one for you, because you were a fullback. Would you rather play 90 minutes against Mo Salah or Adama Traore?
What's the point? Literally, you've seen how slow I am. Literally,
Imagine you've got an ounce of pace. Imagine you've got a little bit of pace in those little legs.
Honestly, they could be walking and still leave me for dead.
I'll go Salah because you've got a little bit more of a chance of using some strength against Salah.
No, but Salah's more clinical than Traore.
Have you watched any Liverpool games? You've seen how strong Salah is on the ball.
Mate,
have you
seen how quickly he falls over and how often I like to tackle? Mate, honestly, I wouldn't last 5 minutes. I'd be gone.
So the only good thing about Salah, if you were marking him, you're bound to get a stray pass every few seconds because he's terrible at passing. So you're going to get the ball a lot.
I'd rather play against Traore, I think.
Really?
Vinnie Jones or Stuart Pearce?
I'd rather play against Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
You take Vinnie Jones over Psycho. Brad and Josh, because it's a bit more your era. Let's go the obvious one. If you were going to mark for 90 minutes, Messi or Ronaldo?
It's just not going to happen. You can't mark them.
Messi.
Why, don't they?
Messi.
You'd rather play Messi?
Yeah. Mate, Ronaldo he's just an absolute physical beast. I know Messi is as well, but like Ronaldo's just mental.
I reckon
He'll beat you in everything. You could be marking him. Oh, mate, you could be marking Ronaldo, and then you go to take him on down the wing, and he'd still do. I just like literally, he'd have you no matter what. Defensive, I don't care. Ronaldo.
I would rather mark Ronaldo.
You go Ronaldo.
Like I said, I can easily match him physically. It would just be a mental battle between us.
And he'd definitely win that.
Tone, who would you rather mark, Josh or Brad?
Both.
To be fair, I'm surprised you haven't said me because you love kicking the life out of me.
Tone's got 2 pockets, so we're both going there.
I tell you what, I didn't know, which I didn't know about. I must have missed it during the game. You know that cracking game, Barca versus Liverpool, the famous one, Chris.
No,
I
which
didn't
one?
know about the Robbo. I didn't know about the Robbo tapping Messi on the head.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. You've seen it
Yeah.
early on in the game where he's got him on the floor and
Yeah.
so downwardly to him. They're on the floor, and as he gets up, Robbo just kind of taps Messi on the head as if say, "Good lads," like that.
Who was it?
He's talking about it on that podcast. He said, "I regretted it as soon as I'd done it."
One of our players did it to someone.
Say again?
One of our players did it to someone. I can't remember who it was. They accidentally took someone out, and instead of shaking hands, because it was just before the whole coronavirus thing, they didn't want to shake hands. So instead of helping him up, he tapped him on the head. Jack Sims. It was Jack Sims.
That doesn't surprise me. God love you.
Got him playing for me next year.
Right. Do you want the rest of the questions?
Go on, chuck another one in. Another couple
This is
before
my
we have a
last.
chat about.
This is my last erase from history one.
Go on.
1 sec. Can we have a little pause? Right, we're going to have another pause after because this might need to be edited out.
Go on.
Would you rather erase Brad's birth or your hair falling out?
What sort of question is that?
It's mainly
What
aimed
the
at you.
fuck?
Mainly aimed at you, Tan.
Would you rather have Brad erase
Josh, man,
history in your
This is why I'm
Brad,
so
can you
shit,
take over?
man. You're literally
my
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry, fellas.
I like
Tone,
being bald anyway.
Tone, you've got to answer the question. Would you rather still have hair, but not have
No,
Brad?
I like Bradley. Brad's my mate. I'll accept no hair.
You sacrifice your hair
Roy
for him.
Paulie.
You, on the
Chris,
other hand, my friend.
Brad or hair?
I don't know. I'd rather have my hair, to be honest.
Yes.
Yes.
Honesty. Lovely. All right, look, we'll take a quick break from all that. So the other thing we were supposed to be talking about over this one was the state of football, what we think it's going to be like after COVID-19. Now, I didn't realise the Bundesliga kicked off again today.
This weekend, yeah.
So the Bundesliga is now up and running again.
Yeah.
Right, did you see that? Is it Leverkusen who are to fans? You cardboard cutout of you in the stand. Mate, the Emirates will generally be full capacity next season if they do that.
Oh wow! Can we not go back there? Can we not go back? Chris, who would you rather raise from history, Tottenham or Arsenal?
Tottenham.
Yes, yes, Chris, you are welcome back, my man, anytime.
My old man.
So, Leverkusen, the Bundesliga is now up and running again. Yeah. Are other leagues ready to follow too? I assume it's all behind closed doors. Is that right?
Yeah. Serie A has got a date. I don't know what the date is, but they have got a date.
So what do we think of the Premier League? Do we think the Premier League is going to start up again?
Well, they're back in training now, aren't they? I think it will start with the money. We had this chat before, didn't we? The amount of money involved. I think they'll play because of the money.
I mean, we're supposedly with this whole battle against COVID-19, we're roughly 2 weeks behind the curve of every other country in Europe because of when we closed down. So that's to suggest that within 2 weeks we could see the Premier League open again. Do you think that's realistic?
I think, yeah. I mean, their talks are July, aren't they now? Because they put it back again. But the problem is, with everybody staying alert and not staying safe anymore, the R's gone up apparently. So are we going to be back into a lockdown? Because you're talking about Serie A, the Italian and all that, they were on serious lockdown. So they've got back quicker than what we have. So I think when you said 2 weeks, I think we're further behind that. But I do say the league is going to start again and Liverpool will be crowned champions. I hope. But yeah, I don't see when. I'd say July at the earliest.
But isn't there something? Is it the UEFA or someone's come and said they've got to have a decision done by 1st of June? Is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
The Premier League have got to confirm if they're going to restart or they're not by a date early June. They've got to commit to it, and we're only 2 weeks away from that. So I know teams are back into individual training plans now, aren't they? Players are back in the training complex, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're testing, aren't they? Testing players. But then something we were talking about for our next podcast was we were saying about if you're testing the team, of Brighton, for instance, I know Murray is on the bench now most of the games, but he's turned around and said he didn't want to play. So he's now getting abuse from the likes of Joey Bart and things like that on Twitter.
Yeah,
but
that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but also if you say, for instance, in Liverpool, so their first game officially would be probably about against Man United. So let's say Salah or Mane test positive. Does the game get postponed, or do the teams have to still play because the other players are negative? So then you lose a player to illness. Is that fair?
I would imagine the answer will be they'll still play, because is that any different from getting injured in training?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I guess.
Well, here's a question, because we still don't know enough about the disease. So Charlotte's test positive, right? The rest of the team haven't tested positive, but that doesn't mean they couldn't be asymptomatic. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
So there's a chance they could move onto the football pitch having been with. I mean, the official rules are if you're in contact with someone who has tested positive, you go into isolation for 14 days. So surely that means everyone at Liverpool who's been in contact, which would probably be the entire training complex, would go into lockdown for 14 days.
But then they haven't, because look at Brighton. Brighton had another third player that's been tested positive, apparently. But the whole team are still training, but he's in isolation.
Yeah, but at the moment, that's, I think when they came out with that and said that they hadn't gone into team training yet. But if you look at the Bundesliga 2, there's a side that a couple of players had it just after they announced, and their whole team's got into 14-day isolation. And then there was, I want to say Freiburg or somewhere like that. Their manager broke the lockdown rules, and he's not allowed to manage the game today's game. So they'll be out without their manager, and it was his first game in charge. So when you look at it like that, he went to go get hand cream, broke lockdown rules, and he can't manage the side for today's game. I think you've just got to look at the Bundesliga, because the Bundesliga are basically the guinea pigs to world football and how this is going to work. And if it completely goes to it messes up, then there's your answer.
Here's a question for you. So little Jonesy, before all this happened, was like, Dad, when am I going to go to Arsenal? When can we go and watch a game? Because he's at the age now, he's starting to like the football. And I thought he'd be able to watch a game and stay at the entire game. But you tell me when the next opportunity is that I'll be able to take my child to a football match.
Next Thursday.
Next season. You'll have to wait. This will go a whole season until we can go back and watch football. I think they'll play a whole new season behind closed doors.
Do you not think it's telling, though, Brad, as a season ticket holder, have you had your renewal through yet?
Yes, but I've had a refund from. So what Brighton did is, it was last week. They offered you a refund on your existing, so your 2019-20 season ticket. You could put that towards your new one, or you could donate that to charity, to the NHS trust and all that sort of stuff. They're doing they did. I haven't actually looked at the email yet. So
good answer, sir. Well,
yeah, I actually haven't, though, to be fair. Well, I have genuinely, but there's you can put, so the Brighton are doing a whole thing where you can just put all your money into this one pot, and in the end it all sends off together, like the whole club. So I think it's like Albion as one or something. But I think Brighton have gone about it very well, this whole coronavirus thing. They're doing weekly podcast manager, stuff like that. But obviously, where we're one of the only clubs speaking out about it, we're getting absolutely torn to pieces by the likes of. What is that? We're getting.
Just gone past my house.
No, we're getting absolutely torn to pieces by the fans like Leeds, all that lot who wanted to come up. All you see is Leeds fans going, "Oh, get the season on, stop complaining, you're just going down." And it's like, and Murray speaking out about it, and like you say with Joey Barton, the amount of times I've seen our club and stuff get absolutely abused for it. We've literally become a club in football.
Danny Rose has come out and spoke about it, and Raheem Sterling, Troy Deeney. It's not just teams at the bottom. It is I don't know. The only you look at the
teams that aren't involved in anything else, because Liverpool have been self-isolating for months before this all started. So all the other teams have got something to say. But let's just say, if Liverpool were only 2 points ahead of City and Tottenham were a point behind that, would they still be saying, like they are Raheem Sterling and that? Would they be coming out and saying, no, let's cancel the league if they had a chance of winning the league?
The only real obvious thing, isn't it, is you go Liverpool champions because they're that far ahead. That's a given. The rest of it, Champions League spots, relegation spots, is so tight. I don't know how you deal with that, because if you go points per game, for me, best answer.
If you go by what they're saying, finish it there, then the only team that's in the Champions League is Liverpool next year. So they win the Champions League next year because they're the only ones that have qualified.
Yeah. Well,
So
League Two have voted to end their season, haven't they? Which means that there's no relegation. The promotion will be the 3 teams at the top that go up. And then obviously the top side from the National League will more than likely come up after what's their faces, Bury dissolved. So yeah, it's League One are apparently voting on it soon. The Championship, again, they're still doing playoffs. But then I don't know what they'll do. It's hard. It is hard, but the whole sort of Championship, League One, League Two all rests on the Premier League doing what they do, really.
We'll start from the top, won't it?
It's because it's all decided on relegation from the Premier League. That's the most important thing.
There's a lot of money involved, isn't there? That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, Leeds are looking at, they could be losing millions for where they are and things like that. But my question is the 2021 season more important than the season that's almost finished?
Yes, because Arsenal are going to win the league.
You know, the only thing for me as a Liverpool fan, the only thing that's more important is because when we win that one, we'll be able to celebrate properly. But the 2020-21 season, that can wait, as far as I'm concerned. That can wait until May next year, because this season's got to get paid, and I think that's what we're missing at the moment. We're so convinced that it's got to start in September. Well, it's not.
That's what I said, and I think I don't see this whole. I know obviously they're going to want to do the Euros and all that, but why not just cancel the Euros and just get domestic football finished? And so by this time next year, September next year, we're caught up to date by the end of this season and that season, and just have a Christmas break. If you need to have your summer break in Christmas, you have it then. And that might actually do a world of good, because you're starting the preparation for the World Cup, which is going to be in December in a few years' time. So you don't know. It's a hard one. But there's a big rush to get it done.
Where do you see? So talking on that, our level of football, grassroots football. When do you see that starting?
Well, again, they haven't got a clue. The FA have emailed us saying that they're trying to go in line with what happens with the Premier League. So they're holding everything close. They've told everybody to cancel all tournaments before July. Yep. So that's a guarantee. We're not going to be back before July. I think we're waiting on what happens with the lockdown, what happens with the R. But I don't think we're going to be starting until September time, if at the earliest.
And the thing that gets me is you look at some of the reports in schools, and I think we will have to follow the schools, obviously, naturally, a lot on this. But they're talking in some places about some articles restricting school classes to 15. How that's going to work, I don't know. Right? So kids are more isolated within their little bubbles of 15. Okay, so say they went down that mechanic. How's that going to work when it comes to grassroots football?
It won't, that's it.
It's a contact sport. Those 15 kids are not going to be isolated away from each other. You might be able to control that in a school and say you only see these 15 children, you stay in this isolated circle, blah, 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 blah. But once you get into a football environment, kids are running around, they're running around with other children, etc., etc. It's a contact sport. So what are we going to say? That grassroots football can't start up again until the virus and the R rate has vanished completely?
I personally think that's what's going to have to happen, because there's no way, like you say, we're looking at the kids, 7s, 8s, 9-year-olds running around. They're not going to worry about coughing, or you see the spitting that goes on with footballers and things like that. You're in that environment. There's no way that they're going to stop it until this virus has disappeared, or they've got an antidote for it. So
and the other thing you've got to take into consideration, I mean, there's so many things we don't know yet, is a lot of articles, I'm sure people do read the news at the moment, have been the potential, their fear is a second peak as we get into the autumn, which is not far off when the season starts for grassroots football and the Football League. So that'll be, we're talking about potentially grassroots football not starting again until September, October. But depending what happens, that could be the most unlikely time for it to start. And what are we going to talk about? Kids not being able to play football in a group situation again until next year.
I think it's when they go back to school normally will be the key thing for us. Because back at school normally, they're into PE lessons in a big group.
If they're back to school normally, that's the thing.
But then when they turn around and said about kids going back to school, a lot of parents uproar saying, well, I'm not sending my kids back to school yet. So it's the same thing with us. If we turn around and say, look, schools are back, so we're going to start training again, our parents are going to go, nah, we're not sending our kids. So then you've then got half a team. It's going to be difficult.
So my missus works at a school, and it's a little village school, and they had 20 children that could come back. Now, out of that 20, the ones going back is 15, which is a lot more than I expected. I thought it would be a lot less than that, to be honest. But I guess that depends if parents can get back to work, need the money. That obviously throws that into it. But it's a higher return rate than I expected, to be fair.
We're limited to 5 in a classroom at the moment.
Yeah.
We're getting sort of 20, 25 kids in.
Big school, though, isn't it?
Absolute nightmare.
Where we are. It's a big school.
So how many do you usually have in your classrooms?
25, 30.
Yeah, so it's a massive drop, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting times. Scary times. And what are you doing with subs, Chris, at the moment? Have you told the guys not to pay? But do you charge monthly or?
Yeah, we charge monthly, and obviously I think we announced the closure about 3 days before the FA told us to.
Yeah.
And on that closure said stop paying now, because obviously we got the only overheads we had was insurance and a couple of other things. Obviously we pay every month for the facilities, so if we're not using them, we're not paying out. But the downside is obviously you make a bit of money in between to help us for next season. So obviously looking ahead, next season is going to be difficult. We've got our tournament we haven't cancelled yet because obviously we were one of the last ones. But if we have to refund that, that's going to be a hell of a lot of money that we're going to lose.
Yep.
Some parents are still paying. Some of them have said no, we want to carry on paying, which again we've told them not to, but they're happy to do so because obviously they know it all goes back to the club. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a struggle to start off with. It's almost like rebuilding the club from scratch.
It's that you've got affiliation fees going to kick in soon, and we've already had the Robert League, request. We got Crober and Sunday requests.
Yeah.
And then you got all the how you manage sign on dates and time. That's all going to be a headache.
Yeah. It was like you. I mean, we do a signing on day, like I know you guys do, because you usually book it when it's our tournament.
We hadn't this year, strangely. I don't think.
But yes, like you said, we've had all of that planned, and that's all going to be scrapped at the moment. We still haven't had our presentation like you guys. We haven't had that. So,
what will you do with that, mate? Will you actually still have a presentation?
Well, we've still got venues booked. We've postponed it by 2 or 3 months. And the good thing is the venue is just, they've said, look, we know what's happening. They've postponed everything for us. We're not going to lose money. And I've just said at the end of the day, even if it's Christmas or after, I still want to do the awards. We did think and contemplate about doing something like this and awarding the players so they know what's got what. But I don't know about you. For me, that's one of the best parts of the season. The end of the season, getting everybody together, giving their awards out.
Absolutely.
It's something that we need to look forward to when this is all over.
Even if it's null and voided, I think it's still important that you reflect that the kids have enjoyed themselves, done well.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Absolutely.
I don't know what private joke you three have got going on, but it's freaking out.
I don't know. I spotted a grin on Brad's face earlier over a particular question, and I was giving him stick about it because I picked up on it. That was all. Nothing to do with you guys. Trust me.
Can I ask a question, Rick?
No.
Why did you move from white and black to pink?
You should be afraid of pink.
It's kind of a tradition for me. When I was playing football myself, I had an adult team many years ago, and straight away as soon as I took over, we changed the kit to pink and black. It's just something that I've maybe it's from the WWE days with Bret the Hitman Hart, things like that, I don't know, but I just love the pink and black. And then when the club shop came to me, because obviously we're Nike partnered club shop, and they came to me with this new brand and they showed me, and I had a choice of lime green, the black and white one, and the pink one. Obviously you guys jumped with the greener color one, so we didn't want to match you guys, so we went with the pink. And also it was a case of not really many teams have similar colors, so we didn't have to wear bibs. That was the main thing as well. We had a separate kit. So, but it's a personal choice for me, and it upset quite a few people.
But internally,
there
Do
was
you ever
a few
get
people
kids moaning about it?
We did at first, but now they don't mind them. And also when you say, oh, by the way, the new launch is coming out, we've got a brand new, and then they find out it's pink, they think fluorescent pink and things like that. When they actually see it firsthand, then a lot of them change, but there are some old school. I've got a couple of coaches that are old school. Nah, my boy ain't wearing pink.
Really?
You're always going to get them.
But I should be afraid of pink.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember Dobbo really embracing it.
Yeah, he loved it.
Even bought Jarrett some pink boots.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, but then Dobbo played for me in my adult team back in the day, and he's used to it. We used to have pink and then black stripes down the sides. So
fair enough.
Fellas, would you rather, Chris, play or coach?
Oh, that's a tough one. Can you do both?
No, you play or coach, Chris.
Can't be a player coach.
No, play or coach.
Play.
Really?
Yeah, I had a quite bad injury a few years back, and I've missed playing. So I think that's in my head as I want to start playing again.
Nick's one of my questions, Dunk.
What, in that it was taken away, not your choice, Chris, to stop?
Yeah, no, I had to. Yeah, I carried on for 2 seasons playing with an injury, and I made it 10 times worse, and I had to have surgery on my knee. And now they've said I can't start playing. Obviously, as you know, I'm a big guy, so it's been a real big problem for me. And I think I've got unfinished business in myself that I want to play. You know, and then I see all these young ones going around playing. I think, oh, I'd love to be playing now. It's a tough one though, because I do love coaching.
I think I'd rather. I chose to stop. I get Chris's thing. If it's not your choice to suddenly go, I'm going to stop playing now. I'd had enough of playing when I stopped playing properly.
We stopped too early, Tony.
Yeah, I think I did stop too early, but I made the choice myself. So in my head, I'm comfortable with it. If it had been something that I had no choice over, I can see what Chris is saying. That would cheese me off. So but I would rather coach. I'd have my time of playing, and I get a lot out of that.
The 2 youngsters, Josh, Brad, play or coach?
At the moment, I'd rather play because I'm only 21.
Yeah, agree with Josh. You've got to play, and then obviously
I love coaching. It's really rewarding, but I'm not finished yet.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. To be fair, I enjoy coaching, but obviously still got a way to go playing before that, and then time for coaching's after that. So obviously I still coach my way through as well. But yeah,
I'm still waiting for the call from
Josh ain't started
scouts.
yet, but
Would you rather, right? Would you, Tone, this one for you. Would you rather be lying on a beach somewhere sunny or getting ready for kickoff?
I'm ready for kickoff every day. Right?
Yeah.
Really?
Honestly, I get bored out of my mind laying on a beach. Yeah.
Chris?
Well, it depends what I'm looking at, Dunk.
Beach or getting ready to kickoff?
The missus and the kids on the beach lying there out my way, so I can sit and watch
Oh,
kickoff.
That is. I'm with Chris on that one, 100%.
Hi, Suze.
Hi, Suze.
You get back in your cupboard. You stay there. It's like she just locked you. Now lock the door. Lock the door.
Dunk.
What's supposedly going to become the second bathroom? Another bathroom.
This is a great segue for me. I've got some. Would you rather go a year without
Don't.
Xbox or seeing your wife?
Oh, for Dunk, that's gonna be a killer.
That is hard.
That is the Xbox. All right, here's one. On a similar tact. Right. Would you rather go another year without football or seeing your partner?
I'd rather be at football. At the moment, what are we 8 weeks in? I want to go to football. I need to get out of the house. Someone save me. I feel like I've been kidnapped.
I don't know why he's whispering so Kath doesn't hear.
Tone, I'll hold your hand. We'll go together.
Yes, Bradley. Can't wait to be able to embrace Bradley.
It's all right. She's gone out on a run, so I can say it as loud as possible. Give me back my football.
Where are you at, Chris?
Same. Straight up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not even a question. Not even a question.
I've had enough of this.
I'm not getting involved in this one.
I'm not surprised you're locked in a room.
Right, Dunks. Would you rather go?
I'll go, Josh. Sorry, go
on. Would you rather go a year without Premier League football or local football? So another year without.
Get rid of Premier League for me.
Premier League. Kids football all day long.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
And I think for me, the last season, not just because Tottenham were awful, but the whole thing around VA, the whole thing around the money side of it, it's just the last cut. It's just become tiring and boring. It's so sterile now.
I don't know if it's just me, but Chris, you obviously go to your Brighton games. Do you prefer the Championship or the Premier League?
To be honest, I love the Premier League at Brighton because I get to meet all those players because I'm one of these fans that just loves football and love all football players. But the Champions, there was just something about it when we were in that Championship, especially towards the end. There was great atmosphere, more games as well. And for me, because I'm very tight, and it cost me a lot of money for my season ticket, and I get 19 games, whereas in the Championship you got more.
But that sums up Premier League football. How expensive it is to go to a Premier League, to take your kids, to go and buy them a programme, buy something to eat, get the tickets in and out. You're over £100 by the time you've done one game. It's mental. It really is. And it's definitely taking it away from everyone, the choice of everybody being able to go and watch it. It's not a sport anymore that's that anyone can go to at that level.
What I also find as well is there's certain teams and players, they don't embrace the fans as much as they used to, whereas in the Championship, half the time didn't know who the players were, but they'd always come over, sign photos, take the pics. There's only a certain amount of teams that in the Premier League that I could list off that were absolutely fantastic and actually spend time. I take my boy now and again, and Aston Villa, every single one of those players come over to us, no matter what. But then other teams, the Chelseas and that, wouldn't even come near us.
Yeah.
So, and you think is that because they're in the Premier League, because they're too good for it?
It's difficult, isn't it?
Or is it because it's just the ball man going, come over here?
Right, I got one question for, who do I ask this one to? Let's go for Tone. A chance to take the winning penalty in the World Cup final or win the lottery.
Oh, mate, winning penalty.
Really? You're not guaranteed to score it.
You could say you guaranteed to score it.
I never missed a pen. 100%. I'm taking the winning penalty.
I'm 100% on penalties as well.
Look, Southgate, Chris Waddle, both missed really important penalties. Both made a fortune. You're still going to be all right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you win the lottery. If you're playing in a World Cup final, you're probably all right.
Yeah, winning penalty, World Cup, mate. The buzz from if you notch it, it'd be amazing. Yeah, winning penalty, playing for your country in a World Cup final, 100% all day long. I'd have to leave the country because
someone take the money. Someone take the money.
No chance.
I've taken a penalty in a charity match, and it was only a charity match, but it was the final penalty. If I score, we win. If I miss, we lose. And I missed. And the feeling of the loneliness and the horrible and the heartache. And it was only a charity match. I don't know if I could handle it. Like, especially if you're playing for England and you miss that penalty and you lose the World Cup, you're going to be the most hated player in the world.
Look at the grief Beckham got.
Yes, Beckham, the eulogy being burnt.
I've never missed a penalty in men's football.
Really? How many you taken?
One, but it went in.
1 for 1. Worst penalty I've seen, but he was still 1 for 1.
Dunks, how many penalties you missed this season?
1.
Who won that penalty for you?
I think you did one of your swan dives.
Not about
it wasn't a swan dive. You wiped me out.
Mate, there was little people were putting up cards for your entry. Like 7, 7, 7, 7. Awful. Brad.
Someone held up 90 yards for your penalty.
Yeah, I'll stick up for Josh.
Hold on,
I'll stick up for Josh here. So you're saying that he dived, but yet you still stepped up and scored the penalty. You could have passed it back like, was it Arsenal did it? Well, they just passed the ball back? I can't remember.
Once I got that ball
I don't think that was on purpose.
I got that ball in my hands. As soon as someone goes over in the penalty box, you will usually see me standing on the penalty spot. Don't run for the ball. Just stand on the penalty spot. If someone give me the ball, I'm taking it.
All he has to do is sniff and the nostrils just get the ball towards him.
Brad, would you rather Magnum or Feast?
Oh, a Magnum.
Magnum.
But a Smarties pop-up by far is the best ice cream.
Well, even when they haven't got the Smarties in it.
Oh, mate, frauds.
Those we got.
What you got, Chris? What you going? Hang on, Chris. Feast or Magnum?
Feast.
Really?
Yeah, I love a feast. Love a feast.
White
Magnum's too posh. Magnum's too posh.
Almond Magnum.
Roast dinner or fry up?
Oh, God.
Fry up.
That's a tricky one.
I need a Saturday morning fry up after Pass+Move. I'll have some draws.
Roast dinner.
Indian or Chinese?
Yeah. Indian. I don't actually like Chinese. Don't like it. None of it.
Right. How weird is this? Brad, do you have rice with your curry?
No.
What do you have with your curry, Brad?
Bombay aloo, onion bhajis, and a cheese and onion naan.
You're really making me hungry.
I think I'm having curry tonight.
Chinese.
Chinese for me.
Strike back or SEAL team?
Strike back.
Really?
The early ones.
Any idea, Brad?
Nope.
Oh, that's decent. Strike back. The early strike backs are really good.
All right, one for the youngsters. All right, if you could erase from history the dab or the dead fish, we're talking feast of celebrations. What winds you up more?
Nothing, because I'm not a child.
Yeah, nothing because I don't play FIFA. I actually talk to my missus.
You were playing FIFA.
Dunk, you answer that one because you are the FIFA nut.
I don't like the dead fish. It makes me want to put my fist through the TV screen. I'm not even lying.
There's nothing worse than when a little kid beats you online and then they do that. Nothing
No,
else.
No, I can live with
Shush.
that.
Shush to the dad.
No. When someone does the shush to the halfway line, then does the dead fish.
Yeah, nothing
That
there.
makes
was it Pro Clubs the other night? Their keeper got rounded twice, and all of us were just running around their keeper.
You just said you're not a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Pro Clubs is different.
Is that going to be
Brad,
edited out?
Brad, if you had to erase from history, Murray or Sidwell?
I do love Steve Sidwell. He's such a ledge, mate. I love Steve Sidwell.
Remember.
Halfway line.
Oh, mate, I was there as well. Oh, that was such a. Yeah, actually, I'm going to get rid of Sidders just because Murray is the man. He's such a. I can't say the word because it's a family-friendly podcast. That I love him that much.
He's an absolute house.
He is an absolute house, Josh. An absolute house.
Mate, he left you for your rivals, didn't he?
Chris, for you, same thing.
Yes,
If you had to erase one from history, Dalglish or Rush?
Oh, Jesus. Believe it or not, we had a little competition on our WhatsApp group. We were talking about picking the best 11s, and we were only allowed 2 legends from each team, etc. And I had to choose between them two. And it's bloody hard, but Dalglish is always going to be, I think,
You can't erase the Tash from history, man.
Yeah, because you look at
Dalglish was special. Dalglish was amazing.
Ian Rush was special, man. That boy finished his dinner. He was amazing.
Brad's special as well.
Yeah,
You're going with a raising Rushy, Chris.
I think I'm going to have to, yeah, because Dalglish is the king, isn't he? So,
Tone.
Yeah.
Hoddle or Gaza?
oh,
The Rays Gaza.
what?
Gaza.
Hoddle was Tottenham born and brought up through Tottenham Academy.
But Gaza's Gaza.
Yeah, he is. But we didn't have Gaza that long,
Mm.
and we had, and in terms of what he actually achieved at Spurs, we had the '91 FA Cup with Gaza.
To be fair, he's achieved pretty much the same as everyone else that's ever played for you, isn't he?
Hoddle won a lot more. Hoddle was class, mate. Hoddle definitely.
Did he win the Premier League?
No, he didn't play in the Premier League.
Who
Obviously,
Right,
otherwise
Chris,
he
you
would
talk about
definitely-
winning the Premier League.
Yeah,
already
I
have
really
this
can't
season.
wait for null and void.
Chris, I've been holding this in, but has anyone ever actually lifted the Premier League at Anfield? I can't remember.
No,
Has anyone done that?
no, I don't think so. I can't remember.
Moving on. Joshua, a raise from history. Ian Wright or Dennis Bergkamp?
Oh. Well, if you can see, I've got Dennis Bergkamp up there.
Yeah.
But righty's righty, isn't he?
Well, here's a good point, right, for everyone. In this situation, Wright and Bergkamp, and you could put this in a lot of categories, a lot of teams, would one be the same player we think of them as today without the other one?
I think Wright would stick. Yeah, I think they both would.
But was it not the partnership that made them?
Wright was amazing before Bergkamp signed, I think. As a Spurs fan,
Yeah.
and Bergkamp was also class, wasn't he?
For me personally, I'd probably have to get rid of Wright because I grew up watching Bergkamp.
But wouldn't you say Wright is more of an Arsenal man? Like he's Arsenal through and through.
Yeah. But for me, watching Bergkamp is part of the reason why I love football.
Yeah.
And
I'd go the other way.
game he scored, so
I'd get rid of Bergkamp because Wrighty for me, other than the fact he was my idol, if I'm talking to kids about football, he played the game in the right way with passion. The way he celebrated when he did score, everything about him for me, and where he came through football as a lesson. He came through non-league, didn't come through the usual routes, never give up. Ian Wright all day long.
What about your most disliked player?
oh.
I'll go for Tone
With
first.
your own club or with anyone?
Anyone in world football.
I've got a list.
In world football,
Player
you've got
I
to pick
dislike
one.
the most.
I thought this would be an obvious one.
You can give a little reason why, Tone, as well. But
I
keep
don't
it
wanna-
PG.
I don't want to do the obvious one because he's irrelevant. Didn't happen.
Who's
Never
that, Tone? Who's that?
happened.
Well, let Tone think. Josh, go on.
Oh God, I wasn't ready.
Okay, Chris, are you ready?
I've got a whole list. You only want one.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I could list John Terry, all of. But anyway, my one would be El Hadj Diouf.
Yeah, see that.
Can't stand the bloke. I went up to Liverpool. He was rude, horrible, obnoxious. And then what I read about him in the press and the way he was to the legend Gerrard, everything about the guy. He had the wrong attitude. He was a disgusting player in my eyes. The spitting, awful. And the fact that he's getting picked over John Terry and a few Man United players says something.
Dunks.
If I'm looking at it from a straightforward football perspective, as in when they walk on the pitch, they always do well against Arsenal, and they just irritate the life out of me. Harry Kane. Erase the chin from history. He doesn't know the pass 5 yards to his mate in front of goal against Croatia in the semi-final of the Cup. He always seemed to score against us.
Do you know what
The
most ironic thing is? You saying that as a centre forward who many a time have not squared it when you should have done. Many a time.
And I bet you cheered like anything when he scored all those penalties in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because I know I did, and I can't stand it.
To be fair, I think every time Harry Kane chants were going on, I think I was chanting Danny Welbeck's name instead, wasn't I, Brad?
Yeah, you were, to be fair.
Actually, I'm going to change that. Rue Van Nistelrooy for United.
Ooh.
I hated him as a player. I hated his manner on the football pitch, but I also hated what he used to do against Arsenal because he was so good.
I might have a bit of fun editing there and just put loads of random beeps over Dunk talking.
You can do. But there's something about Van Nistelrooy as well. You always knew he was going to do damage at some point, even if he hadn't been involved in a game for 89 minutes. He was always going to pop up against us. And it was just his manner on the pitch as well. I don't know.
Josh?
I've got two.
Go on.
Emmanuel Adebayor for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good shout.
There's just something about Dele Alli. I just can't stand the bloke.
That's a good shout.
Right,
Honestly, can't stand him.
Love him. Legend.
So
but
this week he's been robbed at knife point, and now he's been put down by you, Josh.
That's the final straw, isn't it?
He must be gutted this
He's
week.
had a bad week.
He's been blackballed on Pass+Move's podcast by Josh Page. Mate, you've got all of Liverpool and Dele Alli's crew after you. Now. You're in a bad place.
Come on,
Right?
come on.
No.
Tone?
Mate, I generally can't think of one.
All right, I'll shoot.
You know what? Yeah, the obvious is Sol Campbell, but it doesn't really bother me that much.
Fair enough. I'll shoot my shot, and it will be Wilfried Zaha. God, I hate that bloke so much for obvious reasons, but he's literally the villain in like the movie or whatever. Oh my days, I just can't stand the bloke. He does
For me, anyone who cheats or plays the game in that, basically how Josh plays football drives me bonkers. Yeah. Rolling round, pretending to be hurt, then getting. I can't stand that. So, who's the left back at Chelsea?
Marcus Alonso.
Yeah, him. How he does my head in.
I'm not going to say
as Palaqueta, don't say it, Brad, because I know what you're about to say. As Palaqueta's another one, like acts like the arm man, then rolls around like he's been shot. I can't stand it.
Right, look, before we wrap it up, because we've been going for a while.
I've got loads of questions there.
I've got a few more would you ever's in a bit, but quickly going back to Hastings Wanderers and Chris. Proudest moment with Hastings Wanderers, Chris?
We talked about this on one of our podcasts, and it's some really good questions. One of the proudest moments is when we formed it. When I look back now and think what we didn't know and what we know now was fantastic. But the tournament, when we did our very first tournament, we talked about it in 2013. Said, look, we want to get to that stage where we're big enough to be able to do our own tournament and invite clubs from all around. And it was a huge success in our eyes, and we got some really, really good feedback, and we had 2 fantastic days, and that was a really, really proud moment for the club, for me, because it was a lot of hard work. So I'd say forming the club and the tournament at the moment was one of the proudest days.
Chris, on the tournament side of things, we've spoken about doing it ourselves and had never either pulled our finger out quick enough or never got around to doing it. Is it worth the amount of effort and the amount of hard work that goes into doing it, both in terms of a fundraising perspective and in terms of the reward of seeing it all happen and land?
Absolutely. I'm not going to lie, it is a real ache. So you'd have to edit that bit. It is hard work. A lot of stuff goes behind the scenes. You have to jump through a lot of hoops with the FA and so forth. And and getting teams to confirm and pay and things like that, it is a real ache. But the rewards financially, it's brilliant. It puts a lot of zeros back into your account. And then the rewards, when I think there was one point during the day, I sort of stepped away because I've been working, I was sunburnt, everything. I half an hour away from it, and I stood at the top of the field looking down and seeing the array of coloured shirts, all the different teams, some teams that we've had issues with, but they were there supporting our tournament. And then, just hundreds of kids just playing football. And we lucky enough, touch wood, we didn't have any issues that were serious enough. But it just went so smoothly. At the reward afterwards, I mean, it took us about 2 weeks afterwards to sort of sit back and go, wow, what did we just do? We've done it.
Fair play. How many kids have we got now within Hastings Wanderers?
We at the last count was 130, I think about 137, 138. The most we had was up to about 160, but then we lost a few last season. Again, going back to right at the beginning, an hour and a half ago, went on to bigger and better things. But obviously this season, we're not sure what's going to happen. We've already got a load of under sevens that want to start up a new team again. So that's another new team. But as you know, finding another manager, coach. Parents don't realise that that's the extra bits that we have to go and do. It's all well and good. Yes, my kid wants to come and play, but we've now got to cover it.
That's one of the, when you talk about Chris's proudest moment, that's one thing I look at from where we started the club, where we started everything up, and you stand back sometimes and look at it. I think we've got 230 kids now. We give that, and you give it 150-ish. Between us all, there's like circa 400 kids we're giving a game of football every week. Training, and I think that's brilliant. Regardless what ability levels are at, just the fact that they come, they want to come, they enjoy it, they play, and between us all, we're giving 400 kids the opportunity to fall in love with football. I think it's fantastic.
They come back each week.
Absolutely, and that's the telling side of it, isn't it? If they keep coming back and they keep wanting to come back, that's the key to it.
That's it. 100%.
Chris, we were asked this question by one of the parents a while ago, but it'd be interesting for them to hear it from a different club's point of view. The question was, really simply, tell parents one thing about running a football club that they might not expect.
Oh, that's a good question. I just think that they don't expect what goes on in the background. So obviously all they see is the finished product. So they're seeing hopefully a polished product where the kids are out there playing, the matches have all been organised, but they don't see the insurances, they don't see the collecting of the subs, they don't see the arranging the games, chasing managers, trying to get the fixtures sorted, registering the players. There's so much in that background that they don't see, that as a coach, a manager, myself, you look at other clubs and you have respect for them because they're all doing that exactly same thing. Just so the finished product is a group of kids playing on a grass field, kicking a football around. And some parents aren't into football, like my missus, she can't stand football. But she understands when she looks out there and sees the kids playing, she knows what I do in my time off when I'm working. I do sometimes feel that some of my parents think that this is my full-time job. They don't realise that I work 6 days a week, and then I have Saturdays and Sundays doing football stuff. So being away from my kids, do it in the office, sorting things out. And then same with the managers. They're chasing players, trying to get the teams together, all because we love watching the kids play a bit of football.
Yeah. So nice to hear it from another voice. Yeah, it's virtually identical to what all of us said. From a completely different club, a completely different voice. Hopefully, the parents will realise. Well, I know they do realise anyway. I think we're both fortunate with the parents we've got.
Yeah. And sometimes we get it wrong, don't we? Sometimes we do. We're only humans.
Get it wrong a lot. One more question, mate. If you could change one thing in youth football.
I don't know. Obviously, touching base on what we already talked about, trying to govern how we deal with situations that the kids shouldn't be involved in. I think that's one thing that does need to change. It's changing, and obviously they've brought in the DBS checks and the FA coach badges and so forth. But there's got to be another step where it can be governed a bit better. And how they deal with the situation to show that there is repercussions if you are going to be one of them types of parents, players, managers. There is going to be repercussions, so something needs to change there to support the clubs that are doing it right and doing it thing. Whether it be body cams, I don't know. Tough one.
Good answer, man. Go on. Any more questions for Chris, fellas, before we wrap stuff up?
I've got a load more of the quick fire questions.
That's what I mean.
Would you rathers.
If
All right,
there's any other serious questions for Chris, Tone, anything else?
No, I don't think so. From my point of view, I think it's nice to have Chris on. To be fair,
Yeah.
Anything you want to ask Chris?
Oh yeah, good shout, Dan.
What was that? Sorry.
Anything you want to ask, mate, or not? Don't feel like you have to, but
To be honest, no, I think, like I say, we've covered it all. And like I said, I've watched the podcast yourself. Obviously, you like to see what the competition are up to. And I think, like I say, you're covering everything. And the questions you've been asking, when I thought about my own answers, and you've answered it exactly the same as I would. At the end of the day, each one of you on this screen today, that you're all doing it for a reason. And that reason is for those kids to play football, whether they're our own kids or other people's kids. And if we're not doing it, there's 400 kids there. That what would they be doing? Would they be sitting at home on their PlayStations?
Again soon, mate.
Yeah, cannot wait. It's crazy.
Yeah. Go on, Josh.
Right.
To wrap up.
So these are. Would you rather go a year without? Have we done pubs or restaurants?
No.
Right then, pub or restaurants?
What could I go without?
Yeah.
I could go without the pub. I like eating out.
Pub.
I'm with Dunk on that one. I could get rid of the pub. Restaurants sell booze as well, mate, so we're fine.
But
Tony.
pubs sell food as well.
Oh.
So basically, that question just doesn't work, does it?
Move on, Josh. Next one.
Just destroyed your own.
Eating takeaway or drinking beer?
I could get rid of drinking beer. I like a good takeaway.
I like a takeaway.
Drinking beer.
I'm getting rid of takeaways. I'm getting rid of takeaways.
Yeah, I'll get rid of takeaways. I'll have a beer.
Different age groups, boys. That's what it is. Families have kicked in. Different age groups. When we were your age, we'd probably have a similar response.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Tea.
Coffee. Ugh.
Right, getting rid of.
I'd rather keep the coffee. I need the coffee.
Get rid of.
Get rid of tea.
I'm getting rid of tea.
Get rid of coffee.
Get rid of coffee.
I need my coffee.
Right, and now these are the. Would you rather have a pint with?
Oh, go on. Interesting.
Xavi or Pirlo?
Oh,
Pirlo.
Pirlo.
As a wingman, wingman to Pirlo would be amazing.
Not steal them.
Huh?
I've got some corkers on this one, so you better not steal them. Go on, go.
Right. Kyle Walker or Jack Grealish?
Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish.
Only because he smells so nice.
Tone, recent antics, what are you saying?
Say it again.
Because of their recent antics, what are you saying?
Grealish.
Yeah, I'll go Grealish as well.
You going again, Josh?
Yeah, I got a few more. Wenger or Ferguson?
Wenger. But this is a pint with. If we're having a pint, it's going to be more fun with Fergie, let's be honest.
Yeah, mate, I'm going Fergie on this one. 100% Alex Ferguson.
Can I throw the pint on him?
I'm going for an educational pint.
Yeah, you haven't got to drink it, mate. You do what you want with it.
Fergie all day long.
Lob in his face and do one. No, right, so Alex, have that.
Right. Ruddock or Adams?
And what now? Ruddock.
No, we'll go back.
Oh, Adams.
What was it that thing we went to with the Perry Groves, Ray Parler and Paul Merson? They all turned around and said Tony Adams was a shit alcoholic.
Right, more editing again.
Just bleep it, man.
Stop swearing.
Bleep.
1 hour 38, Josh. That was. Jot that down, mate.
Yeah, Josh.
Emmanuel Aboué or Kolo Touré?
Touré.
Blame it on Aboué.
Aboué.
Right, I've got one. I've got a couple. Who would you rather have a pint with? Bobby Robson or Brian Clough?
Robson.
I met Clough.
Brad, any idea?
Yeah.
No, they are, but I've no idea what personalities or anything like.
I'd rather have a pint with Brian Clough.
I'd go Clough then. All right. Peter Crouch or Jimmy Bullard?
Crouchy.
Oh.
Have you listened to his podcasts? They're amazing.
Yeah.
Have you listened to his podcasts?
Yeah,
Josh,
drop
move
it in there, don't.
Would
I'd
Abby
rather have
coming?
a drink with Crouch.
If Abby's coming as well, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I'd rather have a pint with Crouchy.
Here's one. Gary Neville and Carragher.
Oh.
Keys and Andy Gray.
Oh, I'd rather look at a wall and watch it dry.
Cara and Neville at the moment because
Yeah.
I never liked
Yeah.
Neville, but since he's been on Sky Sports with Cara, I think it's been fantastic. I love him.
I'd rather have a drink with Cara and Neville because Richard Keys and Andy Gray are hard work.
Yeah.
All right, what about a pint class of 92 or the Pussycat Dolls?
What?
Different night out, fellas. It's a whole different night out.
Sorry, what? Go on, say that again. I didn't hear. I just heard Pussycat Dolls at the end. I was like, what?
Pussycat Dolls.
I'll
Night out.
go for a night out with a Pussycat Doll. See you later. Massively.
Josh, any more to finish up, dude?
Yeah, I've got two more.
Go on.
Come on, going forever.
Sven-Goran Eriksson or Sam Allardyce?
Sam Allardyce.
Sam Allardyce.
Big Sam.
Although Ericsson was a dirty sod, so it might be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I'd like to know what Ericsson.
Ericsson reminds me of Brandon.
How?
Last one. This one's possibly the best one. Yeah, I'd snap your hand off at the opportunity for either. Michael Owen or the fox in the box himself, Francis Jeffers.
What, for a night out?
No, just for a pint.
Francis Jeffers, because Michael Owen would put me to sleep.
Yeah.
I'll stay indoors, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to paint this wall.
Oh, okay.
I've got Michael Owen, whole of Liverpool, and Dele Alli on me. Oh.
Chris, thank you, mate.
Any more? Or do you want to wrap it up?
No, that's it.
Right, bye guys.
It's been
It was
emotional.
fun.
Do you want to do your little wrap up, Brad, for the camera?
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chris, for joining us. Thank you very much. We'll be back next week for episode 472, whatever we're on now. But thank you all for watching, listening, and we will see you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.